e-university program by Practice Pay Solutions. This is Carol Vickers with Empower Consulting Group, and we partner with Practice Pay Solutions to provide these learning opportunities. Practice Pay is delighted to provide solutions for small businesses, entrepreneurs, and retailers. We invite you to contact them. You can reach them at practicepaysolutions.com to learn more about how they can assist you and your business success. Part of Practice Pay Solutions' commitment to their members is to provide opportunities for personal and business development. And today, in that regard, we are very pleased to have Marcia Bench with us. Marcia Bench is the world's #1 business numerologist and a seasoned entrepreneur, coach, and trainer. She is the author of 25 books, including the recently released Success by the Numbers and the #1 best-selling Become an Inspirational Thought Leader and Career Coaching, an Insider's Guide. Marcia has been coaching and consulting both individuals and corporate clients since 1986. She is the CEO of Your Divine Gifts, and we'll make sure that you have the website for that, and I'm sure Marcia will promote it as well in her presentation. She's also the founder of Career Coach Institute, as well as other coaching companies. Speaking on the topic, the 4 steps to developing your inspired signature system to shift from 5 to 6 figures practically overnight, we are pleased to welcome Marcia Bench.
Thank you so much, Carol. Appreciate that nice introduction and this opportunity to share this information with your listeners. It's great.
Welcome.
So since we're both entrepreneurs, I'll probably periodically draw you into the conversation here and give you a chance to share your experiences if that fits. So
that would be
hope you're up for that.
Thank you. Well, you know, lots of questions come up from that wonderful introduction, and one of them for me is just how did you get started working with entrepreneurs and coaches?
Well, thanks for asking that. It was anything but a straight line journey. Let's put it that way. It was one of those things where I started out in the field of psychology of my undergrad degree, and at a time when the workplace was really starting to change radically, and so all of a sudden now the lifetime career was no longer the expectation. And so the question was, now what? What's going to happen next, and how will people navigate this? And I think it's still a question that's on people's minds. But what's ended up happening is that I began exploring that further as I got out of college and proceeded with my education through law school, and literally was awakened in the middle of the night with the idea for my very first book. And I knew that I wanted to teach a class and have a textbook that would go with that class. Started out, since I was in the legal field, topics closely related to that, and very quickly went into supporting women entrepreneurs in their journey. And then when I offered a class on increasing fun and satisfaction at work, it sold out very quickly, 3 weeks before it was to be offered, and I knew that was a real key message that people were looking for. So I continued to explore that further, do writing and seminars and workshops based on that, and actually went on a national tour, sold everything, traveled for 10 months doing workshops on that topic, and then eventually a few years later, I discovered coaching and got both my basic and master level credential as a coach, because it just seemed like such a wonderful and action-oriented approach to take in working with people in these issues around their career. But what also started to happen at that point is that I had enough experience in teaching people this career discovery process that I could now put a name to it. And this really kind of speaks to our topic today about signature systems. I called it Authentic Vocation, and it had 8 different elements to it. And between that and a coaching approach that I developed along with a colleague, I launched the first career coach training school in the world, Career Coach Institute, in 2001. And so growing that business and then mentoring the students in their marketing and their business building it became evident to me that there were some mistakes that they were commonly making, which we'll talk about today, and there were some solutions that in virtually every case where I've seen people apply this solution, it's not only added to their bottom line, but it's also ended up giving them more freedom, giving them less stress because they're not constantly worrying about what to offer next, what to create next, who to serve, etc. And so I've just spent the last several, actually more than a decade, training coaches and mentoring them in this approach, as well as applying it in my own businesses, and you know, had multiple six-figure businesses since that time. So that's some of the, just to kind of tantalize people about what we're going to be able to walk away with today, is we're going to look at some key elements of starting to develop something that will allow you those same benefits in your own business.
Fabulous. Thank you.
One of the things that we really have recognized, even since I got into entrepreneurship in those early years, is that, you know, it's such a growth enterprise right now. We're responsible for a large percentage of the gross national product, and about 75% of the new jobs that are being created come from small businesses, which is sometimes loosely defined up to 1,000 employees. In my world, in the world of coaching, that generally is considered a larger business. But micropreneurs, micro enterprises, like most coaches and speakers and authors and related people, are a major percentage of the economy. There's actually more than 28 million of us in existence right now, and every day 1,600 new businesses are started just in the U.S., let alone in other countries. So, and women are doing twice the amount as men are. So that's the world that we're all living in as servicepreneurs and as entrepreneurs. It's an industry that's on the rise, and it's an industry that's a significant contributor to the overall economy. But of course, it doesn't come without risks either. 85% of businesses don't survive past the first 2 years. We commonly hear that statistic, and I tell you, it hasn't changed since I first started my work in the mid-1980s. So something isn't happening with a lot of businesses that's causing them to fail. We need to head that off of the past for those people that might still be in their first 2 years and make sure that they make it past that, and that's part of why I want to share this content today. Most coaches, according to the surveys that they commission every 1 to 2 years through PricewaterhouseCoopers, make $50,000 or less per year. And while to some people that might have had lower incomes in their corporate positions, that might sound like good money, that's before overhead. So by the time you take overhead out, which can be as much as half of the money that we earn, even when we're working from home, it doesn't leave a whole lot to live on. So even coaches are missing the boat a little bit on the income front. And only 3% of the population makes over $100,000 a year. So here's something to think about. If that's the case, that last statistic, that only 3% of the population is making in the six-figure range, then do we really want to follow what the common wisdom is about how to create, how to manage, and how to spend and invest our money? Probably not. You know, we really need to find our own way to chart our course, and one of the secrets to that is what I'm going to be sharing today.
Fabulous. So you've learned a lot, obviously, over these last 10 years. What's the biggest mistake that you see coaches and entrepreneurs make when they set out to start their business?
That is such a good question, and just the fact that if the audience is asking that, as you're asking me that, it's a good question to ask, because we might as well learn from what other people have done and have to have our own resources on the table. So here's the thing. It's trying to be all things to all people. And you know what I most commonly find, Carol, when I go to networking events, and I'm just about to go and do an exhibit at one tomorrow, is that most entrepreneurs are carrying around 2 or 3 different business cards with their name on it. You know, you notice that? Yeah. They've got this business, but they've also got this thing that they do and that other thing over there that they dabble with when they have spare time.
Yeah, Yep, met a few of those. Guilty
Yeah,
of it
yeah,
on
exactly.
occasion myself.
I think if somebody was to invent a business card holder that had a place for two different enterprises, they'd probably get really rich. But anyway, the whole issue here is lack of focus in many cases, or taking other people's advice and hoping that because it's on the top 10 businesses that are supposed to grow the most in the next decade, or it is something that your neighbor said that you'd be good at, or your coach even said you would be good at, that isn't necessarily a good enough reason to move forward with a certain area. And definitely, dabbling in 2 or 3 different areas at the same time will dilute the results. It won't actually get you where you want to go. So here's a scenario that I commonly see. Is someone graduates from coaching school, let's say, with their credential, and then they immediately start marketing themselves without really having a clear idea of who their target market is. And so they start getting meetings with people. They start getting people saying, yes, I want to work with you. But then they aren't able to say no. They just want anybody to pretty much fog a mirror, not to be insulting, but just anybody that has the money and the willingness to pay them because they're new, they're getting started, and they see themselves as a beginner. And pretty soon they have this practice consisting of all these different kinds of clients when there really isn't a lot of commonality between them. And so it's hard to get referrals going that way. It's hard to get known in a certain niche market that way. And worst of all, it really can start to feel you feel very scattered, like your resources are being dispersed, and like maybe you're not being authentic because you've got this practice. And yes, you're maybe having some success as a coach, but it really isn't creating a brand per se. And that's the secret to success, is having a clear brand and message that people can count on, can relate to. As I was saying to someone this morning, a come-to place where they know when they come to you that it's going to be the same quality and the same common message in everything that you do.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So here's the answer to that. Is that if you design your business around your own pivotal life experiences and the lessons that you've learned from them, that will cause you to attract the clients that need what you have. This doesn't matter whether you have an advanced degree in something, whether you have a high school diploma and a good idea, whether you have a coaching credential, whether you have a graduated from healing school, whatever it might be. The thing that makes you unique is your unique experiences. No one else has lived your life, Carol. No one else has lived my life and had the same type of setbacks, the same type of victories, the same types of hurts and needs, and found the same answers that we have. And so 5 different life coaches with really leveraging this approach, it'll be clear to a prospective client which one is a good match based on adding this element. But the problem is, of course, that people don't know which experiences should they leverage, which ones are important, which ones can really lead to my business success. So that's what we want to get into, is give people some steps towards that discovery today.
Wonderful. Thank you. This is like a shortcut to building one's business.
Exactly. Yeah, it really is, because it could save you years, and it can save you a lot of money simply by having this focus from the beginning. If you've already spent the years and the money, that's okay. Start from where you are and know that you can have a much clearer and more enjoyable and more successful business by incorporating this now.
Perfect.
All right, so let's get into the first step of doing this, and just a little bit of background before I go there is when I was a preteen, just 12 years old, my family convened a family meeting and told me that we were going to be moving from this farm that I had grown up on all my life up to then to an even smaller town in Central Oregon, and that they had bought a business and they were going to run that business. And so I was none too thrilled about this decision that they had made without consulting with me. But of course, at that age, I wasn't part of the decision making. So we went ahead and trekked over the mountains to this small town, arrived on Christmas Day, had hamburgers for Christmas dinner that year, so that made it memorable in I don't know what kind of way. And then they went about running this business. But in a matter of just a few months, my dad began having some very severe headaches, and found out that that was actually terminal brain cancer, and he passed away in his late 30s, just a few months later. So here we were in this small town with my brother and myself, my mother, and now my father was gone. My mom was in charge of running this business that she thought she would just be the bookkeeper for, and it gets better. Not only was it a business, she was from a city girl from Minneapolis, and this was a auto parts business in a small farming town. So here she was, way out of water as far as her comfortable environment. So I took on the role of running the household during that time, and certainly developed some inner strength and some traits that have served me later on as an entrepreneur. But it was a matter of about a year after that, and I just recently realized sort of the time frame on this, when I started looking for what is my life really all about? What's the purpose of my life? And that put me on a quest that took me forward about 18 years until when I started my first business, I could finally say, I finally found it. And maybe some of the listeners will relate to that. It's like everything else, I peaked out, I got bored, I only lasted a few months because it just wasn't really keeping me intrigued. But business ownership, on the other hand, it has enough facets to it to keep you busy and interested for a long time. So that first step then is to understand your life purpose. And if we have coaches on the line, as I know some of you are, you may have done some work around this. I'm going to give you a way to just either validate that or add another perspective to that today very quickly. And the way I define that is a calling, a theme, or an overall mission for your life that is bigger than or transcends your daily activities. That's how I would define your purpose. And so one of the tools that I use to help discover that is numerology. And so the life path number and the expression number in your numerology profile are key. We're not going to go in depth into numerology today, but just so that you kind of have a sense about it, the life path number, which is about 40% of your profile, tells you what your innate talents and gifts are. So it's very much connected to your life purpose. And then the expression number tells you how you intended to express those in the world. So those two things together work very well. It also reveals your deepest longing or your heart's desire, and some other aspects in terms of timing different parts of your business. But what I want to leave our listeners with today as our first tool here is an actual formula that will give you a rough draft of your life purpose, whether you've done any work around this or not, with just 4 key questions. So if you have pen and paper handy, if you don't, please get some, and if you do, get ready to do just a little bit of writing. And we won't take a lot of time with this on the call, but you can finish it when we are done with our session.
Perfect.
So the first question, real simple. What do you love to do? Just write down 5, 6, 7 things that you love to do in your work, with your family, in your leisure time, whatever it might be. Just a few of the activities that really fulfill you and give you joy.
I'm writing as we go, Marcia.
Writing, yeah. So I still have a sense of satisfaction about organizing my day and making lists, although that, I don't know if that rises to the level of loving it, but just clearing the slate and knowing that everything is in order allows me then to be creative and to express my gifts of writing and speaking and coaching. So those would be a few of the examples that I might write down, along with things like watching tennis, which is on right now, one of the majors of the year, and enjoying time outdoors, etc. So just to maybe trigger some ideas for people.
Okay. Well, I share the tennis one with you, and for me, there's when you ask that question, the one that pops up for me is it's a good thing I'm a coach and
Sure.
work in this field because I love to talk and listen.
Right, right. Yes, absolutely. Good examples, Carol. Yeah. All right, the second one, and this would be the example that I just gave you would be a sample, if you will, is what first comes to mind if I say, what was your biggest pain or wound in childhood? And for some people, it might be something that happened over and over and over again. You continue to be disappointed because your dad was off to work out of the state or whatever. Or it might be a single event, like my father's untimely passing, or it might be a move, might be any number of things. But and if nothing comes to mind from childhood, it can be something that you triumphed over in adulthood.
Right.
But it should be something that you would say, if you were to map your life out, this would just be one of those like big marks on the timeline that this changed everything for you.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah,
Number 3 is, what are your talents and natural gifts? And you may find some of the same things come up here that came up in number 1, and that's fine. Just go ahead and write it down if they're the same thing. But what are some of the things that you just naturally can do well? Whether you had education or training in it or not, it might be the things that your family always counts on you for. You're the peacemaker, you're the organizer, you're the math whiz, you're the mechanical genius, whatever it might be. So just jot down that 2 or 3 or 4 things here that come to mind. And then for those of you who want to move ahead here, if you could just help one group of people in the world, who would that be? And again, just first thing that comes to mind, no matter if it may seem a little bit crazy or out there or impossible, just who do you long to help through your life, through your work? And in the next slide, we're going to actually apply a formula to this so that you can get that life purpose statement draft.
Wonderful. Great questions.
Okay, great. So here is the formula. You want to take number 1, which is what you love, plus number 3, natural talents and gifts, to help that group that you long to help overcome the challenge that you face through that difficult situation. So here's an example. My life purpose, and this is just a hypothetical example, my life purpose is to use my love of harmony and nature, plus my talents and gifts as a runner, as a coach, and as a supportive individual, to help teens that feel awkward in their bodies to overcome the stigma of being different. I just said it off the top of my head. So
right.
You just want to take, again, you just want to maybe jot this down on your notes. 1 plus 3 to help the group in number 4, the audience you long to help. I'll go back here again. Number 1 plus number 3, the 1 right here, number 3, to help number 4 overcome this pain or wound in childhood. Now, it may not be that exact pain or wound. In my case, with my father's passing and the things that followed from that, it wasn't directly that now I help teenage girls that have lost a parent. It's not that direct of a connection, but I do help people who are looking for a sense of independence and self-sufficiency in their business, with really developing confidence in that area. So that came in some senses from that. And then you can actually take the same process and begin to apply it to other successes that you've had. For example, let's say getting my first self-published book out there would be something that we could model take my love of writing and my natural talents and gifts of organizing and expressing my ideas to help budding authors get their published works out into the world. So that's not as earth-shattering as something pivotal in my life necessarily, although it was a pretty big deal at the time, I will say. But, you can take other successes and plug them in here too.
Awesome. Well, that's fabulous, and that gives you really something very concrete to be able to put together. Excellent set of questions and formula. So that's the first step. What's step number 2?
The second step then is to really identify this core story. It might be that experience that you just pointed to in the biggest pain or wound in childhood, but it's something so significant that it influences you and causes you to want to help others overcome that situation or reach a similar goal. If I were to ask you, why did you choose to get into the business that you're in now? In many cases, it comes from one of those pivotal experiences. So that would be the one to identify if that's the case for you. And if not, start noticing how large companies are beginning to use a narrative-based approach to their advertising and their marketing. If you notice the commercials, you notice some of the print advertising that they do, even the Facebook advertising that they do, they'll take Jane in her kitchen doing something and taking care of her mom or whatever, and they're advertising a drug for mom. It's a very much a story-based approach, and that's what I'm suggesting that you integrate into your business to help it come to life and make the emotional connection with your audience, is to take a story-based approach to it, to the core message of what you offer. And Hewlett-Packard was founded just about 30 miles down the road from me here in Oregon in the garage of the two founders, and that story was told for many years as part of that company's culture until they became the corporate entity that they are now. So that would be another example. So thinking back to your childhood or even your recent past, what happened that you're either proud of, that you were hurt by, or you found difficult to get through? Inevitably, it seems that those of us that are coaches, healers, speakers, authors, and consultants, servicepreneurs, in other words, have the most passion about helping other people overcome the challenges that have been the biggest for us. The old saying, we teach what we most need to learn. And as soon as we get a few lessons down the road on that curriculum, we need to turn around and start helping other people that haven't gotten there yet. Even though we may not be perfect in it, we can still help them because we have a few lessons that we can share.
Yes. Yeah, that's excellent. Okay. Again, very evocative questions.
Say it again?
Oh, I just found them very evocative questions.
Oh, great. Well, thank you. Yeah. Here's sort of the pathway that I took to getting to that, to founding my company in 2001. I was sitting in my office as a fairly unhappy executive vice president, saw a flyer in the mail from a program that a local organization was putting on. I couldn't go to that meeting, but I sought out the program director and enrolled in that program, which started like 3 days later. It was kind of a whirlwind, but it was the right thing to do, and so I took advantage of that opportunity, which gave me that something that I was looking for, the path to becoming a coach, and to really discovering a new way of interacting with people that I had never experienced before, and that then became part of what I was able to turn around and teach just a matter of a couple of years later.
Awesome.
So, Carol, you're having some insights or realizations here about your own business and branding from this process?
Well, it is definitely looking at it from a different perspective, because when I look back on those childhood incidents that influenced me, there definitely are echoes of it in what I want to do and what I have been doing successfully in helping other people. So it's a great way to look at it, and I love the questions about what I'm proud of, what I was hurt by, and what I found difficult to get through, because those are the ones that resonate with me, with my clients.
Okay. Okay. Good. Good. Good to hear. All right. And so step 3 then is that we want to turn this story into something that I call the inspired signature system. So let's just look at what this means exactly. Some people may have heard the signature system part, but this adds a whole other element to it with it coming from your own experience. It's a predictable and replicable model, so you can get consistent results with it, with different people, for delivering your services with a unique name that brands the system. So many entrepreneurs, some have recognized it and some haven't, but one of the best ways for you to really attract clients in droves is to become known for something. And ideally what you want to be known for is a specific signature system that becomes your brand. Now, once you roll out the first one and you use that one for a few years, you may find that another one follows its footsteps, follows behind it, and that they can still live under the umbrella of your overall brand, but they should be related, and it should be obvious that they're connected to each other. As an example, from that first Career Coach Institute program where we offer and still offer to this day, the Certified Career Coach program, where they learn the authentic vocation system, they learn quantum shift coaching, and they learn some other tools. The next iteration of that was a retirement coaching training, because there was an emerging market, still is an emerging market, of boomers that are aging and that have a whole different idea about what retirement is than sitting in your rocking chair and playing golf once or twice a week. So that was an offshoot, and that led to executive and workforce development and corporate and some other branches from that same signature system, but they all had the authentic vocation model in common, and just were taking it and off into different areas of application.
Excellent. So that's step 3. Is there more?
It is.
Oh, here's the steps. Awesome. Okay.
Yeah, we want to just take another minute on this because this is a really key one. We want to actually just look at the story that you've written, and after the call you can go into more details with that. But what were the actual steps that you took to get that result, that success, to overcome that problem? And really identify the specific key actions that you took, the feelings that accompanied each of those steps, and most commonly there's a point where you have a helper appear. And this really, I like to show it as diagrammed around the hero's journey type of approach, because we start from that call to adventure, that place, that event, that hurtful or upsetting thing that happens, or the disillusionment with a part of our life. And then we begin to just move around the clock face from that 12 o'clock position to trying on different things, having a mentor appear, having some more disillusionment, and then down at 6 o'clock really dying to the old self and seeing something brand new start to come in, so that as we go from 7 to noon again, that we emerge as a different person, we find new resources, and then we begin to want to share what we've learned with other people. So it may not seem that dramatic. I mean, let's say something like writing a book, like I mentioned earlier, that can still be a very transformative experience. And it often starts with going through something painful and finding a solution and wanting to share that. A health condition, let's say. I had chronic fatigue for 4 years and had a number of different solutions that I've had to apply to get to a place where I was well and strong again. But being able to share that with other people that are still suffering with it would be very, very fulfilling. So, and then of course you want to name the system with a unique domain name that is dedicated to that system, so that it becomes something that you do become known for and people can find you by. The interesting thing about this is that your audience becomes self-evident. Notice this in the meantime here. We're not talking about a list of different services that you offer. Let's say you're a life coach and you offer coaching, workshops, teleseminars and information products. That's not a signature system. The signature system is a series of steps that you actually take in going through the process of growth and transformation. So be sure you make that distinction. So the tribe that you're here to serve is the people that are either looking to solve that problem or they're moving in that direction and they want some additional support. We want to, of course, also assign some demographic characteristics to them with their gender, male or female, their age, where they live, their psychographics, those kinds of things. But the very first thing is just to look at who is already looking for a solution to this problem. Who are they already seeking that I might be able to joint venture with, and where can I intersect with that conversation that's going on in their head so that we can then serve them in the way that's just perfect.
And I liked what you said about they become self-evident. That when you clarify what your core story is, your audience, you don't have to go looking. They're going to become very clear that they're the right people to be working with.
Exactly.
Excellent.
That's exactly how it works. Here's an example of one of my clients, Amy O'Brien, who was just standing in line at Target one day and had the thought as she was looking at one of the celebrity magazines, what if I viewed my life as through the eyes of the movies? And as though it were a series of scenes, and she was challenged by some relationship issues right then, and she just released a new book around this theme that does a beautiful job of bringing that whole idea into both relationships and career transitioning, and it's a great way of providing a brand for that story that she experienced.
Right. That's a great one.
Yeah. So you can find your audience in a number of different places. You've probably already connected with some of these, but know what websites they visit, what blogs they read, what radio stations they listen to, online and offline. And I would say most importantly is the professional associations they're involved in, because that's where you'll be able to get to their meetings, get publications in their newsletters, and go to their conferences so that you can connect with more of them in a group rather than one at a time. And if you can't define them by the criteria that we've been talking about as far as so that you could go to an association directory or a database and you could check boxes and know exactly where to locate those people, then keep working on it, keep defining it further, because it needs to get to that level of being specific for you to really be successful with this.
That's excellent. If you can't name the professional association of your target market, you haven't gotten clear enough yet.
Right.
Excellent.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Sounds like we're ready to move to step 4.
We are. Exactly. So this will be the inspired offerings that you can create from your signature system. And these are a few examples of some of the ones that I've used. So my guess is that there isn't anyone on the line who, whether you're married now or not, if you were dating someone, that you would meet them the first time, you go out on that first date, and just as you're sitting down for dinner and they're bringing the water and the beverages, you say, I'm really glad we got a chance to spend this time together. Would you marry me? It's not going to happen, right? It's way too abrupt. It's way too soon, and it's just not appropriate for the stage the relationship is at. What we fail to realize too many times is that we're actually building a relationship with our prospective customers, and so we don't want to do this to them either. We don't want to have them come to our website and then immediately offer them something that costs several $1,000s. Unless it's a page that's highly targeted to a specific place that they already know you from another event you spoke at or something, have to be an awful lot of conditions. That just would not work. So what do you do instead? You want to think in terms of your audience, your prospective customers, going through these 4 stages. They start out as what's often referred to as being a suspect, and I don't mean anything in the criminal domain here. I'm just saying They're checking you out. They're suspicious. They just landed on your site from Google. They just saw your article in a random search. They just met you at a networking event, let's say, or heard a teleseminar that you did. And they aren't sure yet whether they really want to hang around, whether they really are your market or not. So what you want to ask them to do at this stage is just do something very simple and no cost. And we'll get to that in the next slide. From there, they move to being a true prospect. Now they've indicated by some means that they're interested in your programs, products, and services. Now is the time to ask them to spend a little bit of their money so that they can become what we call a customer. The customer has a wide range from spending $1, $5, $25, all the way up to perhaps a few $100s. But when they have moved to that stage, there's still another level yet, and that's the one that's the evangelist. It's the people who will do everything that you put out, will sign up for every class that you do, will fly to see you in whatever location you're in because they love what you do. And I'm so delighted to have a few of those in my community that just love the work that I do, and we always want to cultivate more of those. So that's usually about 10% of your overall audience, by the way. So here's a way of thinking about how to organize the offerings, again, using the very same signature system, but taking it through to each of these levels of engagement. So first of all, with the free report, something no charge, frequently it's a video series, it's a special report, it's a downloadable audio, it's something compelling that has a great title that will intrigue them enough to want them to give you, so that they will want to give you their name and their email address. As a prospect, then, you give them some kind of an introductory product. It can be downloadable or physical in nature. It can be a book. It can be let's say, a 4-CD program or a 4-part teleseminar series that you might do. But generally, the cost is somewhere from $0 to $300, somewhere in that neighborhood, maybe a little bit more, depending on your market. For them to become a client or customer, then, once they've purchased that introductory product, they are a client or customer, and now you want to just move them through your sequence to higher levels of engagement, such as maybe a coaching program or a weekend workshop or something more in-depth. The evangelists, again, will do the year-long masterminds with you. They'll do the live retreats. They'll do your certification, your train the trainer. They may spend tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars with you over the years, referring people to you and just supporting you in every way that they can. So here's an example of how specifically that could work for a coach, for example. A free report or free videos at the prospect level, offering them an introductory teleclass or recorded product, then moving them into a coaching program, and then maybe a VIP day or a 6-month coaching program at the top level. And again, it's the same steps, 5 to 8 steps usually in that signature system at every point in the process, but you're giving them more contact with you, more intimacy as far as face-to-face and voice-to-voice, and more in-depth treatment of each step, more implementation support. And so all of a sudden, as I mentioned at the beginning, it's not a stressful thing to think about, what do I do next? What do I offer next? I got to dream up something else for next week's launch or next month's launch. No, you got the same thing. Just offer it to people and give them ongoing opportunities to take advantage of it at different price points, and you'll have a successful business going.
And you can map this onto each of your products. So do it in that same format, no matter what it is that you're offering. That's very, very bright, very great system.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Here's an example from a client of mine named Karen, who was really having a hard time working every day, not making a whole lot of money, and just really feeling overwhelmed when I met her. And so we worked to get systems in place and to get her signature system clarified. She gathered a group of ladies together at the clinic that she was renting space in at the time. She's a nutritionist. And they just loved what they heard. They went for it with her top-end program of the 3 that she offered. and she made about 4 times what she would have normally made in that presentation. She was then able to move into her own clinic down the hall and rent space out to other people, which is a nice position to be in, largely as a result of taking this more systems approach and signature system-based approach to her business. So if you haven't already done so, think about some of the elements that you might be able to do in your business to plug them into these different spots in the process. Something you can give away, something you can do low cost, your core offerings, and then something extra special that you could give to your evangelists or equivalent. Go ahead, Carol, sorry.
No, it's just actually saying that the system gives you the confidence. And
it does.
Like you suggested here, just being able to try it right now, you've got the system to plug in the different pieces. So it makes very good sense.
All right, excellent.
So what's the next step? Sorry, go ahead.
That's all right. That's all right. If you would like to get some support in creating your inspired signature system, I have something very special I want to share with you. And I know that, although this is actually how I got into consulting, is I started teaching these seminars at this local community college after I was awakened in the night with that idea. That went on for 14 years of doing Saturday workshops once a term for them. And people would come up to me after the seminar and they'd say, this was really great stuff, I learned a lot, but I want to have some help in actually applying it to my specific situation. I said, great, let's set up an appointment and do that. I later learned that was called consulting. So I still do that with a lot of people to this day in different structured formats. And so just as I've been teaching you, I've also developed my own signature system approach to growing your own business that's truly inspired in the sense that it comes from your life experience. Inspire is breathed through. So it's called the Inspired Business Jumpstart Program. And what it includes and allows you to really get clear about is, first of all, your inspired gifts, which include your life purpose. We get more into your numerology profile and what that tells you about your gifts. We also help you to develop that signature system and hone in on the core story that's the best one for you to be focusing on, who your tribe is or inspired community, and very specifically how to find them, because this is going to be the foundation for your marketing. Your offerings, those free tiers of price point, what should those packages include, or what specific type of service should be offered at each level? Your website, it needs to be not just a pretty brochure website, it needs to be part of your marketing system. So what does it need to include, and what other support software platforms do there need to be on it so that you can have the ability to convert and attract clients that you're looking for. Second is, number 6 rather, is your inspired online marketing. All the things about using social media, email marketing, article marketing, and other tools, video marketing that will help to spread your message online. 7th is offline, which a lot of people think they just kind of push off to one side and don't use, but there's so much potential here with speaking and referral generation and networking in a very strategic way that we help you implement. And then number 8 is sacred client enrollment. This is our approach to having that sales conversation with someone who's expressed interest in your services. You want to be able to confidently have that conversation and bring them into your community. Don't leave them hanging once they've expressed interest. So we give you some very specific steps to doing that. So you're going to get a 145-page binder with step-by-step exercises, both the narrative about each of the topics and instructions and checklists, 16 CDs, 2 for each of the 8 modules. One is pre-work, that's just simply me lecturing, and the other is recorded group coaching that you'll learn a tremendous amount from. And then in addition, there's some bonuses that go with this. You'll get your own personalized numerology report. This runs about 75 pages in length. It'll give you your whole 3-year forecast for the next 3 years, as well as all of your core numbers. 80 free ways to promote your business. You think maybe you can figure out at least a few from that will no-cost strategies to get your word out about your services, our fee-setting formula, so you don't have to guess at what you should be charging, our starting business checklist, and a list of all of the resources that we recommend for you to use in your books, in your teleclasses, in your website, in your shopping cart, all of those things. And then 2 tickets to my fall event here in Portland called Your Success Unleashed. So our special pricing for our Practice Pay listeners is a $500 savings off the web price of $14.97. So you'll pay just $9.97 today only, and just jump on that link at inspiredbusinessjumpstart.com for the details on the program and that special link. And for the first 5 people that do sign up for the program, I will give you a complimentary full-hour numerology reading. I think you'll be amazed at the insights this gives you about how you can best apply your skills in your business, what things to delegate, what things to keep for yourself, and how to time your business launches and your other business activities so they're really in harmony with the natural rhythm that's going on anyway, but until you see your report in front of you and you hear how it all fits together, you're really you're guessing at how that might actually flow. So it'll be my pleasure to do that for the first 5 people. And then if you do have other questions, you can feel free to contact us here at our website or through email or telephone. So Carol, I kind of whizzed through a little bit of that last part. Were there any other questions that you wanted to ask, or anything that you're realizing you wanted to point out?
Well, it's just been very valuable. Thank you, and I definitely see the value to the system and can apply some of what you've given us here in this webinar to my own business and take a look at it from a different perspective, which is just so incredibly valuable. And so this gives people a way to get in and get engaged with you, and also we'll be looking for announcements about your fall program in Portland. Sounds like, is that a weekend that you're doing in Portland in the fall?
Yeah, it'll be a Saturday event at
Okay.
the end of September. Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, we will definitely take advantage of that as well. Well, Marcia, I want to thank you so much for sharing your brilliance with us and, excuse me, this wonderful system that you have developed over the years. Oh, I've got a little choke in my throat there. And I just want to invite all of our listeners to take advantage of the offers that Marcia has made with us. And thank you again so much for sharing this with us. And we wish all of our listeners great success, and you as well, Marcia, great success in your continued business.